Imagine confronting a tyrant head-on. It feels brave, direct, almost heroic. But now imagine standing before a room full of people who have stopped thinking altogether, blindly cheering the tyrant without a single question. Which one is actually more dangerous? Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German pastor who resisted Hitler, gave an answer to this question while ago from his prison cell. Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. Bonhoeffer believed that a person driven by malice can still be reasoned with, challenged, or stopped. But a mind trapped in blind certainty cannot. You cannot argue someone out of a position they never reached through thought in the first place. In this video, we will explore why Bonhoeffer feared stupidity more than evil, how this force operates in individuals and entire societies, and most importantly, how we can guard our own minds against it. So let's get into it. Long before Bonhoeffer ever wrote about stupidity, he had already been fighting it in the real world. Born in 1906, Dietrich Bonhoeffer grew into a respected pastor and theologian. But by the 1930s, as Hitler rose to power, Bonhoeffer did something few around him dared to do. He spoke out. He openly criticized the Nazi regime, condemned its racial laws, and called its euthanasia programs and genocide what they truly were: crimes against humanity. In 1939, Bonhoeffer had a chance to escape. He could have stayed safely in the United States. Instead, he made the difficult choice to return home. He believed that if he was ever to help rebuild the German church after the war, he had to stand with its people during the darkest times, not watch from across an ocean. Back in Germany, he joined an underground seminary and quietly connected with anti-Nazi conspirators. His resistance did not go unnoticed. In April 1943, he was arrested, accused of being involved in a military plot, and sent to Tegel prison. Isolation surrounded him, but the world's greatest crisis raged just outside his cell. It was there, in that bleak confinement, that Bonhoeffer began writing his now famous letters and essays. He reflected on everything he had witnessed, how well-educated Germans, professors, doctors, pastors, surrendered their judgment to propaganda and abandoned their moral compass. He described Nazism as a great masquerade of evil, a force that had thrown all ethics into chaos. In prison, Bonhoeffer developed what he called a view from below, a perspective shaped by seeing history through the eyes of the oppressed and powerless. It reshaped the way he understood society. So when he wrote that stupidity was worse than evil, he wasn't being abstract or dramatic. He had watched fanaticism devour reasoning, and he knew firsthand that no amount of evidence could wake up someone captivated by blind certainty. On April 9, 1945, just days before the war's end, Bonhoeffer was executed at Flossenbürg. His life was brief, but the writings he left behind, later published as Letters and Papers from Prison, continue to echo through history, offering warnings we cannot afford to ignore. Evil eventually collapses under its own weight, but stupidity does not. A malicious person may commit terrible acts, yet somewhere inside they usually still know they're doing wrong. Even a tyrant can feel guilt, fear, or hesitation, but a stupid person doesn't see any wrong at all. They're absolutely convinced they're right. Bonhoeffer wrote that evil carries within itself the germ of its own subversion, meaning that people eventually react to its horror. But against the unconscious fanatic, the person who repeats slogans, ignores evidence, and refuses to think, we are almost powerless. As he put it bluntly, we are defenseless against stupidity. Protests, arguments, laws, even force mean nothing when the crowd has stopped thinking. Facts that contradict their beliefs simply bounce off. Bonhoeffer even warned, never again will we try to persuade the stupid person with reasons, for it is senseless and dangerous. Even psychology supports Bonhoeffer's insight. In Milgram's famous obedience study, 1961, ordinary people believed they were giving painful electric shocks to another person. Astonishingly, 65% obeyed completely, not because they were sadistic, but because they trusted authority without thinking. Similarly, Asch's conformity experiments showed that 75% of people would give an obviously wrong answer just to fit in with the group. These findings reveal something very unsettling. Under pressure, routine, and comfort, even intelligent people can act unethically simply out of conformity. This is exactly what Bonhoeffer saw: people trading thought for slogans, judgment for obedience. In Bonhoeffer's view, stupidity isn't a lack of intelligence, but a refusal to engage morally. The stupid person is not mentally slow. They're morally disengaged. A brilliant scientist can be foolish in politics, while someone less educated can be genuinely wise. What makes a person stupid is that they allow themselves to be shaped by forces around them. They surrender their responsibility to think. Unlike malice, which sparks resistance, stupidity hides behind normality, good intentions, and social expectations. That's what makes it terrifying. Stupid people genuinely believe they are doing what's right. They become passive agents of destruction, convinced they are serving a good cause. And because stupidity blocks out logic, it builds a wall between the person and reality, leaving the rest of us watching helplessly as they march forward with utter certainty. Bonhoeffer wrote that conversations with the stupid person are dominated by slogans, catchwords, and the like that have taken possession of him. If you question one of these slogans, they immediately become irritated and defensive. They're completely self-satisfied, untouched by doubt. Any fact that challenges their beliefs is dismissed, either as trivial or part of some conspiracy. In their mind, they already know the truth, so there's nothing to discuss. This blind certainty is tied to strong emotion. The moment a stupid person feels criticized, they erupt in anger or denial. As Bonhoeffer observed, the stupid person becomes dangerous by going on the attack. Their anger is not argument, it's insecurity masquerading as conviction. It's the mark of a mind that has replaced thought with identity. Think of a sports fan who lashes out when someone questions his team, refusing to even consider evidence. Or recall Mark Twain's sharp remark, "Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience." A foolish person is well trained in folly. Logic can't pull them out of it. Crucially, Bonhoeffer differentiated stupidity from both malice and sincere ignorance. Ignorance is simply not knowing, but still being willing to learn. Stupidity is different. It's choosing not to know. The stupid person isn't clueless. They're comfortable swallowing a lie because it simplifies the world. Charles Darwin once noted, "Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge." Those who understand the least are often the most certain. To Bonhoeffer, this was the essence of stupidity, preferring the comfort of simplicity over the burden of truth. This personal failure becomes a social danger when many such minds gather together. Bonhoeffer pointed out a disturbing paradox. Every strong upsurge of power in the public sphere infects a large part of humankind with stupidity. When a movement grows powerful or charismatic, it begins to erode independent thought in the masses. People crave belonging and clarity. In return, they sacrifice their inner independence. Under this pressure, they begin repeating the group's creed as if it were their own. It becomes a kind of psychological contagion. In rallies, mobs, or echo chambers, individuals chant slogans in unison, feeling protected by the crowd. Orwell captured this dynamic in Animal Farm, where the sheep repeat party slogans without thinking. The Stanford prison experiment showed something similar. Ordinary students assigned the role of guards quickly slipped into cruelty, just following a script. The danger of this collective stupidity is enormous. Once a person becomes a mindless tool, they become capable of any evil, yet utterly unable to see that it is evil. Karl Popper warned about this too. Democracies collapse not from monsters, but from apathetic or gullible citizens. And once society is filled with such people, reasoning, becomes useless. Our world today looks alarmingly close to what Bonhoeffer warned about. We live in a post-truth era where disinformation spreads faster than facts, and emotion often overrides reality. Studies show that fake news is shared 70% more frequently than true stories, because lies are crafted to be sensational, to stir fear, anger, or excitement. People click on whatever confirms their anxieties and ignore everything else. Whenever a wave of online outrage rises over a false headline, we're watching Bonhoeffer's warning unfold, people abandoning thought and getting swept up by collective emotion. In many ways, modern technology manufactures stupidity. Algorithms feed us only what we already agree with. If a celebrity, influencer, or authority figure posts a false meme, millions absorb it uncritically. Add deepfakes and AI bots, and truth becomes negotiable. As a 2025 analysis put it, this is no longer passive ignorance. It is engineered stupidity. Economist Brian Kaplan calls this rational irrationality. When the effort required to understand something feels greater than the personal benefit, people simply tune out. Complex policies are replaced by viral slogans. Nuanced issues get reduced to memes. When millions do this at once, society breaks down. The tools have changed since the 20th century, but the mechanism and the danger remain the same. Is there hope? Bonhoeffer believed yes, if we learn to use thinking as a form of resistance. Here are some ways which can help us not to be as stupid. Pause and question the narrative. Before sharing or reacting, take a breath. Fake headlines thrive on emotional triggers. Ask yourself, who benefits if I believe this? What evidence contradicts it? Even simple habits, double-checking sources, reading past the headline, dramatically slow the spread of falsehoods. Seek diverse perspectives. Bonhoeffer warned against living inside ideological bubbles. Follow people you disagree with. Read news from different worldviews. It's uncomfortable, but it creates the mental friction that sharpens judgment. Practice intellectual humility. Learn to say, I don't know. Those most certain of the truth are often the most misled. Bertrand Russell once said, "The trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure and the intelligent full of doubt. Doubt is not a weakness. It's the doorway out of stupidity." Speak out responsibly. Silence lets slogans spread. If someone is repeating nonsense, don't mock or walk away. Gently point out inconsistencies. When enough people stop nodding along, the spell of propaganda begins to break. Guard your mental diet. In a world of endless noise, choose information deliberately. Read books, watch long-form content, talk to thoughtful people. Pay attention when social media tries to pull you into an echo chamber of outrage. Value truthful communities. The cure for groupthink isn't isolation. It's belonging to communities that value truth over comfort. Join groups that encourage discussion, debate, and reflection. Bonhoeffer's final act of resistance was simply this. He kept thinking when the world around him refused to. And perhaps that is the lesson for us today. To live truthfully is a form of courage.